Now at 7, a 77-year-old Kennesaw man fears losing his home to his HOA after racking up fines for not pressure washing his home and leaving a bucket of water outside.
Atlanta News First investigative reporter Anastasia Olmos explains how fines from your homeowners association can end up costing you everything.
The scene of the crime is this north-facing side of my house.
It's a scene that haunts George Watson more than 3 years later.
It's anxiety, it's sleeplessness, it's depression.
A slimy wall, a bucket, and a ladder.
I realized, I had been the architect of my own demise by not opening the mail.
The fines and legal fees, he estimates, now exceed $30,000.
It very possibly means that I'll lose the house.
But it's not the local police after Watson. It's his homeowners association.
This was the original newsletter that came the first year we were here.
George moved into the Cedar Lake Townhome subdivision in Kennesaw in 2001.
These were starter homes. I purchased mine out of a divorce. It was all I could afford. Everything I had is tied up in this house. All the equity I've got to show for my life.
He says he's had his share of disagreements with the HOA in the last 20 years, but now he fears he could lose everything.
During COVID, I developed a neurotic response to mail delivery. I literally just don't want to see mail.
George says when he checked the mail in late 2022,
I had a bill saying, you owe the HOA $6,000. Please send us a check. And I sort of, but for what?
He says he had no idea he'd violated any HOA rules, and then saw the other letters from July to September. Warnings and then fines to pressure wash the side of his home and to dump water out of a bucket, stating this breeds mosquitoes, and one in November for a ladder on the side of his house.
You cannot see anything on the side of the house.
The fines, $50 a day, equating to more than $1,500 a month with 7% interest for 4 months. George says he borrowed a pressure washer from his neighbor, but didn't get to it until January of 2023. That's when the fines stopped. He says when he tried to negotiate with the board,
there was absolutely no attempt at all to talk to me. And then the knock at the door came.
It was July 2024. The HOA filed a judgment to foreclose on the lien they placed on his home to recover the money he owed, now more than $9,000. Georgia law allows an HOA to place a lien on a home for any amount. They can file to foreclose on the home when that amount exceeds $2,000.
I'm retired and living on a fixed income. Social Security, it amounts to about $20,000 a year. How am I going to pay if I lose the suit?
George says he took out an equity loan on his house to fight for it.
A year of anxiety and worry over the mounting legal costs because it's not over. I think it's added about 5 years of age to me.
Atlanta News First investigates found George is the only homeowner in the Cedar Lake townhomes that the HOA has taken to court since 2008. But we did speak with several homeowners who said they've also had similar disagreements with the HOA. And when we went to ask the HOA president about George's case, she told us,
you will need to call our property management company, or our attorneys.
The management company, Tolly Community Management, told us in part that someone choosing not to read their mail is not an association issue. The covenants for the neighborhood state that the notice shall be sent by U.S. mail. For more insight, we sat down with attorney Randy Williams, who represents homeowners as well as HOAs in Metro Atlanta.
There are some times where you just need to tell your client, don't do that. So what are you going to do? You want to take their house? You probably could, but do you think that's the human thing to do to a 70, 80-year-old person?
Instead, he recommends HOAs offer payment plans to people living on fixed incomes and points to a much cheaper solution, often found in the HOA bylaws, called self-help powers, letting the HOA board perform repairs or assist directly.
It would have been cheaper to either knock on his door or move the problem items to the back of his house.
I'm between a rock and a hard place, and there's nothing much I can do about it. This is not the way it's supposed to be for homeowners.
Now, the HOA's lawyers with Lizega and Johansson did not respond to us, but several months ago, they asked the court to enforce the foreclosure on the lien. George says he's still waiting for the judge's answer.
Now, Anastasia, all these stories you've done have been really eye-opening, and I'm sure raising a lot of questions for people. A lot of people watching probably wondering, what can homeowners or even HOAs actually do to protect themselves?
Right, a couple things here. So first, if you know that your HOA communicates via written mail, check your mailbox often and try to address any warnings right away. If you're an HOA board member, see if self-help powers are in your bylaws and consider taking a neighborly approach to get things fixed. Lastly, Williams says that attorney's fees have to be considered reasonable in court. So if you do end up with those outrageous HOA legal fees, you may be able to argue them down.
All right, Anastasia, thank you. Now, if you have had issues with your HOA, we want to hear about it. Text HOA to 470-777-9263. We will send you an article with a form to fill out, and to watch more in-depth investigations just like Anastasia's, you can tune in to Uncovered by Atlanta News First Investigates. That is Sundays at 7.